This is the Pet Buzz. And here's the Dynamic Pet Duo.
Joining us today is Janet Ruiz, the Insurance Information Institute, which is III, the Director of Strategic Communications. Ruiz joined III, bringing with her 25 years of experience in the insurance industry. Greetings, Janet, and welcome to the Pet Buzz.
Hi, how are you?
We're happy that you're here with us. So I'm going to go ahead and ask the first question. Janet, why should homeowners and renters who have dogs add animal liability policies to their existing policy? Or why should they try to get just a canine liability policy in general?
It's so important to protect yourself and your assets. And you are liable if your dog should bite or injure someone. So it's so important. Find out from your agent if your existing policy already covers it. If not, add a rider or a floater to make sure that you are covered.
I think it's really important these days to make sure that we're covered, right?
Very important, very important. Can you please walk us through a typical animal liability policy?
The most common type of liability that you have is already included in your homeowner's or your renter's policy. So if your dog should bite, it's going to be a part of that coverage, which covers anything you are liable for. If for some reason your insurance company doesn't allow certain breeds, types of dogs, you need to find that out. And then you could purchase separate dog bite liability coverage for your particular situation.
And what are most of these policies? What are they costing?
So normally you would have this coverage under your homeowner's or your renter's policy. And that will be an annual term. So you renew it every year. And it is really just one part of your coverage. So when you pick your liability limit, you're saying $300,000, $1 million. Usually you pick an amount of liability that's going to protect your assets. So if you're a homeowner, you're trying to protect the cost of your home. And if you're a renter, maybe you don't have as many assets, you may have $100,000 liability limit. So you're looking at what your assets are and what you want to protect. And we can talk about the claims that we saw in 2020 and the amounts of money that got paid out. The average cost per claim actually went up in 2020 from 2019. It went from $44,700 up to $50,200 per average claim. So that was an increase of 12.3%. And when you think about that amount of money per claim, that's something you don't want to have come out of your own pocket.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. Yeah, I wouldn't have expected that.
Yeah. Well, if you've just joined us, we're speaking with Janet Ruiz, the Director of Strategic Communication for the Insurance Information Institute. And she just told us how much these claims pay out, which is a lot of money. So it's a good idea to have a claim. And just curious, are pet owners responsible over a certain amount in some of these claims or no?
So the pet owner would be responsible for possibly a deductible on their homeowners or renters policy. And generally speaking, people have about $1,000 deductible. It's always important to pick a deductible that you can afford to pay out because, of course, these are unexpected events. So what we saw again in 2020 was an average cost of $50,200 per claim. That means some were much more than that and some were far less. And it's two things. It's dog bites, but it's also dog-related injury. So oftentimes the dog may have just startled someone, they tripped, they broke their hip. That's an expensive claim. We also saw that the value went up 7.1%. So overall in the US in 2019, we spent $796 million. In 2020, we spent $853 million in the US on dog bite and dog related injury claims. So again, that's a 7.1% increase on the amount of money per claim.
Wow, I suppose we could go into what made that go up, but what you mentioned, you kind of led into my next question. Other than dog bites, what do these claims pay off for? What other kinds of injuries, or what's involved?
Or who's involved?
So we see a number of different types of dog bite claims. It could be related injuries. You know, your dog startles an elderly person and they fall over and break their hip. This can be a very expensive claim. Or maybe you're walking across the bridge and it startles the cyclist who falls over on their bike. So all different types of claims. Most are dog bites when a dog is startled and they nip at someone. The most costly, of course, are the terminal, and we see a few of those. But the other things are, you know, biting a child's face because children are curious and they get their face right in there in front of the dog. So all these different types of losses are included.
Wow. I mean, you don't think about that. Not more than a dog bite, like the elderly person getting knocked over or something like that. You just don't think about those things.
Simply being startled.
Yeah, startled.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, where are most of these dog bite and related claims coming from? What states?
California is still the state with the most claims. I think it was 2,100 claims in California. And then it's California, New York, Florida, those states, higher populations, more people out and about. Sometimes it's the better weather. Texas was also in the top 5.
I believe that.
So what other state and local legislations do pet owners need to be aware of?
Well, it's important to know what's expected in your state if there is a dog bite or a dog-related injury. And most states are similar in the fact that it is your responsibility. So you're liable whether you're insured or not. And this is why I keep emphasizing renters need to be insured. Because oftentimes renters feel like, oh, you know, I don't own this place. If anything happens, my landlord will cover it. And that's not the case. Your belongings aren't covered, but your liability. And, you know, one of the most common liabilities people have is their pets, and especially their dog.
You know, I think because so many people got dogs, like record-breaking dogs and cats, I think it's that's why we decided to have Janet and Triple I come and talk about it. And I think it's really, really important. I mean, and also knowing, and we know this on a daily basis, Dr. Fleck, people just are not acquiring the correct information to live. I mean, they don't know if there's breed discrimination. And some, you know, in Denver, for example, we've had breed discrimination for a really long time, and that's moving along out of the way. But there's one bite rules in some communities. Sometimes there are criminal penalties discussed for reckless handling of your dog. There's dog bite statutes in communities.
So where can our listeners learn more about dog bite liability insurance?
So III.org. We have lots of great information on our website. And we're really feel like this is such an important issue and people really need to be protected. So don't hesitate to ask your insurance company or your insurance agent lots of questions. This is an important part of your life. Your dog is a part of your family, and we certainly want you both to be protected.
I think we should leave that on that note. That was great.
It was great.
Yeah. Thank you, Janet, so much for joining us today. Right,
Yes.
Dr.
Oh,
Fluck?
yeah.
Great information.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Pet Buzz.